All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I am the Alchemist 369. And today we're going to have a live Q&A. And this is going to be mostly geared to help you guys. So ask your questions. Feel free to start dropping them in the comment section. And if we can try to keep the comment section to questions only as much as possible to help us sort through them, that would be great. And while we wait for some of the questions to filter in, I do want to touch on the importance of frequency, energy, and vibration. Everything in this creation is based off of frequency, energy, and vibration. And this is very important. Oh, am I lagging? Oh. And this is very important. And this is 100% true. Literally everything is vibrating all the time. Literally everything is always vibrating. Now, the other day, I went to this ancient sound healing inside of this soundproof pyramid. So the geometry of the pyramid played into the frequency of the sounds that was healing my body. And why this is important, because frequency literally has the ability to heal all things. If your cells are able to vibrate at a particular frequency, it can heal all elements in the physical body. This is what we were doing back in the day. Is certain frequencies even able to jolt your soul out of your body. These are things that were done. And even certain frequencies, specific frequencies played at certain angles in water actually heals the body as well. And when I was after this sound healing in this soundproof pyramid, I felt the shift within me. It made me realize how out of sync my body truly was. And now I feel it. And I'm the type of person that I need a lot of something before I can truly feel it or notice the effects. Like I need a lot of something for it to really work for me. And this is true across the board. But I really feel the effects. I feel more relaxed. It's like mentally, I reset back to a time period before stress and everything. My physical body is more at ease. I'm sleeping better throughout the night. So, you know, frequency really does have the power to heal us. And everything is frequency, guys. What you put into your thoughts is a frequency. The media you watch is a frequency. The food you eat is a frequency. Literally everything is a frequency, and frequency is the rate of vibration. So, I just wanted to say that for us to just be mindful of the frequencies that we're allowing into our bodies and our minds, as this will truly help people. All right. So at this time, all right. So Loretta asks, I would like to know more about clarity now, please. Okay. So yeah, this is a good question. And to give context to people, what she's referring to is a command that I have found when I'm in the out of body state that allows you to bring your full consciousness there and be fully there and present. Now, for a long time, I'd be out of my body and things would be a little hazy, and looking at my hands wouldn't always work, touching something wouldn't always work, and I knew the spoken word was very powerful, so I was trying to find phrases and think commands to say to bring me fully there and present. And this is when, and Lova kept bringing up to me, oh, you should read William Bowman. He does like this clarity now thing. And at the time I was like, I'm not reading anybody else, like I'll figure this out myself. And then one day I actually did read it, and he did say clarity now, and it works. It works. It's a great command because it's very quick and precise. It's easy for you to remember clarity now. It's very easy for you to remember that. So when you're in the out of body state and you're able to speak, say clarity now. Even if you can't speak, if you just mentally say it, it will bring your consciousness fully there based off of your intention, right? That's just a good technique that I use. And you can use this in conjunction with touching your hands together. I found that touching my hands together works better than just looking at them to bring your full consciousness there. Because for a long time, I was just looking at my hands, trying to make out the individual lines on them. And then I found out that touching them together and feeling the physicality of it brought me there more. So, I believe that is a little bit better of a command to use. So yeah, if you find yourself in these states and your consciousness isn't there, or it's a little hazy, or if you're in an astral projection state, feel free to use clarity now. That's a great technique, for sure, and it works. Magnus asking, I talk more about Neo Soul. Who's there and how to access it? Yeah, so certainly. So Neo Soul is a city that we have been able to identify as beyond the ice wall. And at first, when I first went there, I had no idea where it was. I had an idea because there were some telltale signs when I was trying to figure out where it was. One of the signs was, well, we were humans, so I know physical bodies were a thing. Oh, what's up, 4 5? So I knew physical bodies were a thing. Now, I also knew the veil of forgetfulness was still a thing, and I knew we had kids. So being born was still a thing. And I knew, after, learning from Darius that these things are only exist in the lower realms, right? So that helped me put it together. So at the time, I was like, it could be beyond the ice wall, or it could be in realm 2 because I know there's human ETs there as well. And then later on, Lova had an out of body, and she was actually shown a map, and she was like, "Oh, where am I?" She was like, "Neo Soul," and it was beyond. And they said it was beyond the ice wall, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I know the ice wall," and things like that. And then I had another experience where I was in Neo Soul, and somebody actually had a T-shirt on that said "Beyond the Ice Wall." So I went to go talk to him, and he told me some insights about like where I am and like how the dynamics work, and like how people are still in forgetfulness there, but some people also remember. It's kind of just like here in that aspect. But yeah, so Neo Soul is in fact beyond the ice wall. It's a real place, a real city. I'm under the belief that if we went beyond the ice wall, it would still be there, and we could still access it now and to present time. But it's a little difficult with the Antarctic Treaty and the powers that be allowing us to get there. But I do believe that we can. Now, when I was there, I was essentially viewing. The first time I was there, I was viewing some past lives of mine, like 3 past lives. And in this experience, obviously, it was chronologically in human years. It was obviously before present day, right? And I was told it was the year 2015 here by my spirit guide Francis. He told me that, but when he signaled here, I understood that yes, they by the way they calculate time, it's year 2015. But also I understood that their calculation is not the same as ours. So when he told me it was 2015 there, that does not mean it's 2015 here where we are. The timelines are different in that aspect. They count years differently there. And it was really advanced. Now, when I say it was really advanced, they put a huge emphasis on philosophy and discovering oneself, a huge emphasis on education. Wealth was more evenly distributed. There was not really anybody poor there. Like that wasn't really a thing. There was a monetary type system, but it wasn't like money like we have it. It was just like everybody had it and everybody worked and did their part in the community. Also, there was the buildings were new. They had like some type of reflective technology on them. The cars were like hovering. Some of them were actually driving, but then some of them were like hovering. There was like the sidewalks there were different. They were like transportation type sidewalks, things like you could just stand on them and like they would take you somewhere, and things like that. So it's essentially like as if humans evolve for like another 200 to 300 years here technologically, and like that's what that was like, because they're also outside of the resets. You guys have to understand that only these 6 continents that we have, North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia, because Antarctica is not necessarily a continent by the way we define it. You have to understand that these 6 continents are part of the human experiment, you could say, that are bound to resets and are part of this control structure that we are in. This is the lowest part of all of creation. So yeah, Neo Soul is outside of that, and there are humans there. They do look just like us. Like when I was there, I was in another human body. I was in another human body. I was like the Nigerian template. There was black, there was black people, there was white people. It was literally just like here. The culture there, it seemed like kind of like England style, like the way that the black people spoke, whereas like the England type of like style, I guess you could say. That's the closest thing I could compare it to. And the city itself looked like a newer version of Dubai. Dubai, like a new city like that. But yeah, what else can I say about it? And the humans there, they did originate from here. They certainly did migrate from here to there. Uh, she was telling that in an out of body experience as well. And these humans there would be considered extraterrestrials. Like, one, because they're advanced, because they're outside of the resets, so they are more advanced than us. But they would be considered extraterrestrials because they don't come from here. So if they ever are disclosed, they would be considered like the human looking extraterrestrials. And yeah. But yeah, that's all I can really say about Neo. So Pomamba says, when will the control structure collapse? Now, the most recent thing that I've seen regarding this is this experience that I had in December 2025, where I was shown that the field is changing and things are beginning to open up. I was told some specific things in this experience as well. So I was shown the field is changing, allowing more information and light to come through. This essentially lines up with the blending of the realms as well, because like as our frequency rises, we're able to blend and see things on the other realms as well. This is like the blending of the realms. This is also going to play into like when things open up here, you see, because everything is relative to the frequency of the observer. So even to even be able to see these things, you have to be vibrating at a certain frequency. So that's happening. And I got that. And the feeling that I had during this experience was that it was happening now. And I think that's what we're seeing with the disclosure happening, the Epstein files. Trump's mentioning he's going to release some ET files. So disclosure is happening. That's going to be taking place this year. And I had to look at it. I was like, is this 2025 or 2026? But yeah, disclosure is happening now in 2026. Now, I do know. All right, this is not to put people in hysteria or something like that, but I wasn't showing this out of my body, but I have been, based on mathematical analysis and things of that nature, based on our past of the Mayans and things like that, because I do know that everything in here is based off of numbers, frequency, energy, and vibration. Everything here is a pattern. Everything here is structured. There's fixed time events that have to take place here, and these line up with the planetary bodies and things like that. And you can actually map this out by looking at prior history here and when things have happened. So I have been doing this, and this is just in the human life, and I have came up with a potential year of when things, because everything here has been experienced, right? You can think of this construct or this creation as like a video game, and it only holds so much memory, so much data before like you have to like reset it, right? And I do have a year for that I believe is correct, but I'm not going to publicly say that or anything. But yeah, I do have a year that I believe, and I will say it's, no, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so things do, and I haven't seen that out of my body. This is just from looking at repetitive history, based off the Mayans, the cultures, the last resets, things like that. There is a definitive time where, okay, and what we're aiming for this time, and it's going to happen. We're going to wake up inside of this thing before that happens. Again, that's the Great Awakening. That's where we're headed, is to wake up inside of the game. There will be no more resets or anything like that. Like, we're going to wake up and really end this thing from the inside out. Dark Rise says, do we have to have OBE? What if we want to go to the other side when we leave here? Because we're all going to the other side anyways. And will we have the same awareness we have here after death? Yeah, so from what I have seen and experienced with the other side, when you die, the majority of people, when they die, they are greeted by past loved ones and things like that. But for those that are very unconscious or that die a tragic death and that don't pick up on the fact that they died very quickly, that's where you can run into some issues. Just temporarily though, because you'll break out of it. But that's where you can create a dimensional space for yourself, stay in there. You can dwell in the lower realms, not really fully crossing over to the other side, being reunited with all things, and things like that. But yeah, your thoughts do go with you and you'll wake up. Now, if you're talking about ending your time here before, like, I would never advise that. Like, that'd be crazy to do. You know, don't do that, because right now you're thinking of in a human perspective. But when you step outside of the human vessel and you return back to the eternal aspect of yourself, you think more clearly, because you are now in outside of the physical limitations of the body. You're able to see all things. This is what people call their higher self. You are now in your higher self, and when you make decisions from that aspect, you realize how temporary this whole experience is, and then you also remember your reason for coming here in the first place. So I wouldn't advise that. But no, you don't have to have an out of body experience, but it is, definitely the end of the line, and a way to experience the other side now. And when you have an out of body experience, you will come to the realizations that I pretty much just said, that this is a temporary experience. The realization that this is a temporary experience, this comes when you view like your past life or another lifetime, or actually, like, when you step outside of earth and you see things from a bigger perspective. Like, when I say step outside of earth, like when you reach like a higher realm or something, and you're like totally outside of like human life. When you're outside of there, the realization comes like, wow, this is really a temporary experience. That felt like a whole blink of an eye. That's when that comes in. Certainly when you review past lifetimes of yours, it's like, wow, that was really quick. It was just like, okay, yeah, that happened, but now I'm here, back to the eternal aspect of myself. So like, when you're here in the human perspective, it's very, very easy for us to identify with the human bodies, and is with this being base reality and things like that. It's so easy to get caught up in it. And this is my bone to pick with this place. This is kind of how this control structure happened, because based on experiences from my partner and I, these other kingdoms and things of that nature, they don't their schooling is literally teaching them about the eternal aspect of themselves, and how to tap into their natural abilities and stuff. So even in the lower realms, when you come in here in forgetfulness, there are schools where you go to, and they teach you about the other side and about things like that. And this took place here as well, but this is called occultism. This is called hermetics and things like that. And it was always the control. The people in control were always like, oh, we got to outcast that, especially after Jesus came doing all this magical stuff. He was at first seen just as like this sorcerer, right? And then after a couple hundred years, they were like, oh, it turned into like a religion, you know. And then they downplayed it. But we have always had this ability, and this is essentially like what this place was supposed to be as well. We were supposed to come here in forgetfulness, but people that wake up in this life, they teach others about the true nature of reality. Certainly like what I'm doing, like with Beyond the Veil and things of that nature, like teaching people the truth about where we are, how we exist outside of here, and how we can tap into our innate abilities. And this is all the things that the secret societies know, like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, all these people, they know this. This is why they hide it. And they actually even take it a step further with rituals and things of seances that actually unlock things, spells and things like that to get monetary gain, rituals, but they know everything that I'm telling you guys. They've just kept it hidden for control, and tried to change the narrative and make these things as dogma or something of that nature. But yeah, this place is originally designed for us to come here in forgetfulness. Like, that's it. That's all you really need. You don't really need too much more. Being stripped away of your soul's memory is already a big thing. Like, that is huge. The amnesia that we undergo here is so massive. It really is. And it takes time, even when you cross over, to get your full memory back. It takes a long time. It's very massive. It's such a, so that's really all you need. Like once you come in here in forgetfulness, and then you would slowly be taught how to return back to, your divinity. That's a big change in itself. So the fact that we come here and we're taught in school how to function in this matrix that's completely made up. The monetary system, it's just an idea, a thought form that we place value on. All of these concepts and things here, they're not really real. They only exist in our mind, and we make them real by placing value upon them. You see, so like when we wake up, all these fallacies will just fall. You see. Well, all right, let's get another question. Dylan says, hold on. He says he has been trying daily to OBE for over a year. Are some people just not meant to leave? No. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Things certainly do happen in waves. So I just did a testimonial with this guy Logan. I've been working with him for over a year, and he's been trying to have an OBE too. And then in his, he said he just felt the shift. He said everything aligned in his life, and he just let go, and he kind of just felt good. And then that night, he had an OBE. Things will happen, and I even said this: when the stars are aligned, you will meet the divine. For the first time, it's kind of like that, and you can certainly force yourself out. It's very easy to have an OBE. How strong is your will? All you have to do is lay there until you hit sleep paralysis, until it happens. Could be 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. It's going to happen. You have to lay there long enough until you hit it. That's the one way that you can force yourself out beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, when people say they can't OBE, you can. It's just like you give up too soon or too easy. You can. I do it too sometimes. Like sometimes I'm laying, I give up. I'm like, I don't really feel it after an hour or two, and I'll just go to sleep. And when I'm trying it that way, So I mean, but if you really want to, you can. Like, there's nothing stopping you from that aspect. But if you want it to happen to the point where you kind of just wake up in sleep paralysis, or it's very easy for you, it does help to do things like relaxing and letting go and just setting your intention and letting it go. Um, you know, this month in Beyond the Veil, I'm actually teaching people how to induce this and how to become conscious. Am I lagging? No, okay, I'm good. How to become conscious and lucid in every state. It is kind of, this does help for sure. Like, people are seeing success, they're becoming lucid in dreams, they're becoming lucid in all these states. So there is ways to train yourself. It just takes, immense focus and effort. Like, how much effort are you putting into it? Is this in every waking thought? Is this your true desire? Are you thinking about this all the time? Because if you're thinking about this all the time, then during the night, your subconscious will think about it, and you will just become aware as you're leaving your body, things of that nature. And that's what I'm teaching people, this month. Is how I was able to train myself to become aware and lucid throughout all of these states, and to just have it happen without, laying still for a couple hours and things like that. So it will happen. Just keep at it. Keep trying. And if you try too much, take a break, reset, recalibrate, clear your field. Watch that testimony I did with Logan, because his description is like exactly what I call clearing your field. So there's some good insights in that should help you as well. And once you feel it, you will leave. Yeah. Priscilla asks, what does it mean when you do the finger and palm reality check and nothing happens? Your palm is physical. I don't really understand the finger in the palm reality check. So are you speaking of doing the reality check during the day, like a dream reality check, like where you set your alarm every hour and you're doing the reality check in the waking life? Well, nothing's going to happen, but this is just training yourself to do this in a dream. That's all it is. So when you're doing reality checks, it's training yourself to do this in a dream. It's training your subconscious to do that in a dream. So in a dream, if you touch your hand and you realize that you can go through it, or it doesn't, or it feels more real, or it feels different than you would. I've never actually touched the palm of my hand. I've never done that one. But what I do is I count my fingers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because if I do that in a dream, what does this do? Counting, it brings your consciousness fully there, right? I will also look at my hands, and I'll touch my hands, and I'll pinch myself. This is like the oldest trick in the book. You pinch yourself, see if it hurts. If it hurts, you're in real life. If it doesn't, you're in a dream. Another good one is close your nose and try to breathe. Those are reality checks that I do, to become lucid. I don't necessarily know like the finger in the palm one, but those are the ones that I would do. I spoke about dreams and loss of awareness in one of my vids. Do you have insight on what goes on under general anesthetic when someone appears to experience a complete loss of consciousness? Yeah, so I'd imagine, I don't know necessarily know, but this is just me, speaking on it, theorizing on it. So, I mean, it's essentially just kind of like sleeping. It's kind of weird. Like, I don't know where our awareness goes when we sleep. That's been a mystery to me since I've been leaving my body and understood that souls can't, like, our awareness never, our consciousness never sleeps. It's just our awareness goes offline. And what I've attributed this to is the speed limit of the physical body. Like, if you remember everything, you can't even remember everything that you did yesterday, every detail, every second, every minute of the day. You cannot remember it. It's too much information for you to process. So now let's take that outside of the human life, and let's add it to the experience of existence, of everything, right? That's going to be way too much for you to process. So just for you to function here, I believe that's why our awareness goes offline, and things like that. Because when you bring this stuff back to the physical body, it is a lot to download and to unpack. But yeah, anesthesia, I believe, if I underwent anesthesia, I'd be trying to stay aware, because I'd be like, yo, this is a perfect opportunity for me to have a conscious out of body, right? That's what I would practice. I'd be like, I'd set my intention to stay aware during it, because I'm sure you could. It's probably the equivalent of sleep. Like, where does your awareness go when you sleep every night? I don't know. It's just like we're just on autopilot. As a kid, I used to always come out of my body, but as an adult, I find it very hard. Why is that? Because as a kid, you're more fresh from the other side, and your conditioning isn't as you're not as conditioned. As a kid, you still have imagination. You still think everything's possible, right? But as an adult, you grow up and you get more conditioned to this physical world. You start thinking that this is base reality because you're in school every day, you're in work every day. It feels very real. Being here feels very real. And then in that, you get more immersed on this side than the other side, where when you're a kid, you're fresh from the other side. So it's very easy for you to tap back into it, and you haven't been conditioned yet as much here in this human life. Your conditions and your belief systems aren't as strong, so it's very easy for you to leave your body as a kid, to see beings, see things. When I'm out of my body, often kids can see me sometimes, and it's hard. Like, I remember one time I'm in my neighborhood, and this kid sees me. I'm like, wait, am I even out of my body? Like, I had to check, like, like, am I really out? Because I don't know how you can see me. But yeah, so yeah, kids are very in tune. They're very in tune, and it's and we can all be in tune. The other side is always here and present. You just have to open up your mind. It's like a switch. It's like a switch comes in. And as you step out of your logical brain and your logical thinking, and you really move into the heart space, and like just feeling and your intuition and things like that I found that to help me the most with connecting to the other side, is like getting visions and downloads, even leaving my body easier. It's to get outside of your logical mind. And for a long time, that's all I did. I was thinking, when I first was leaving my body, I did it through the logical mind, just literally by pure force and controlling my consciousness. And now I'm finding that I'm actually more in tune when I let go of that logical thinking. Like, here, and by logical thinking, I mean when you're planning your day, Like, is it very structured? Are you like, I have to do this at this time and this and this? Like, that's just going to keep you here. Like, okay, just feel things, just feel things out. And I used to think of people like that as like this very airy fairy thing. And it kind of used to make me mad because I was very structured here. But I'm finding, like, honestly, that stuff that keeps you here mentally, when you're constantly thinking of, oh, um the doctor said I need to do this or that, like, none of that is true, guys. It's not true. It's all puts you down. Like, nothing is true besides you exist outside of here, and nothing is more powerful than the will of your soul. Like, whatever you believe you can create and things like that. um this is where you start to be able to break out of the matrix, is essentially not thinking those terms. And this is how we uncondition our belief systems picked up here on earth, is just being aware of what we constantly think of all the time. Like, I had 30 years of limiting beliefs to unload. And, that's when I was by myself for like 8 months, 10 months. When I lived by myself, I really just undid all limiting beliefs and just really tried to figure out, okay, what is base reality? What is true? And it's easier to do when you're by yourself, because I found, other people's limiting beliefs and their behaviors rub off on you. But um yeah, if you, well, that got a little off topic, but yeah, you can have an out of body experience, man. Just keep trying and try to free yourself here from all limiting beliefs, and just try. The easier you move into like the heart space, and like your feeling and your intuition and just feeling things and not trying to control things with your higher mind. Like, just, people often say just let it go to your higher power or whatever. Well, really what you're doing is stopping your human brain from processing things, because your human brain is so stupid. It is so limited. I don't care who you are. Compared to your soul, the way you think as a human is very limited, and it's very stupid. So let it go. Let it go. Don't try to think too much. Don't try, just let it go, and just try to be in your feelings and intuition, and like, that's letting it go to your higher self in the universe. Because when you're trying to control things, you think of certain things as it's supposed to happen this way, and then that's a contradiction to actually how it's going to happen. So that helps. That's probably a tip that I could tell you. Jeffries asks, do you think my mixed meditation goals are messing with my OBE focus? No, I would say all meditation helps with achieving the out of body state, for sure. Any meditation that you do where you quiet your mind and you try to focus your thoughts and your attention, I believe all of those can help with achieving the out of body state, because the out of body state is essentially a meditation. How quickly can you shut your body down? How quickly can you detach from this physical world? you know any out of body state, I don't care if it's becoming lucid in a dream or whatever. It's about how much can you detach from this physical world. Because I have found out, I say that because I have found out that the more I think about stuff, even if it's has to do with helping you guys or videos or something like that, that it keeps me here. It makes it so hard for me to leave, because I'm constantly thinking of, oh, how can I help people? How can I help people here and do stuff? Like, even that keeps me here. So like, the last 4 days, I've been completely withdrawn from the world. Like, I haven't been online at all. I've just been in my own energy, just really trying to get back to things and meditating again. Yesterday, I did a very good meditation. I have this eye mask from Mount Batur in Bali with like this volcanic ash that's supposed to help clear your energy. So I put that over my eyes. I have this crystal that I bought in Egypt. I meditated yesterday with that on my chest after doing the sound healing. And man, I just felt so good, man. And last night I didn't even try to leave my body. I just got some good sleep the whole night through for the first time ever. And tonight, I'm gonna try to leave. And I believe, detaching from everything, coming into myself and in this out of body and meditation, it helps. It certainly helps. I've seen the most success with my out of body experiences the more that I meditated. The more I meditated, I directly seen an improvement with my success at oh, he says his apologies. He meant to say divided meditation intentions, mixing success meditation with OBE. Uh other meditation. No, I'd say any meditation technique will help you. Now, any meditation technique will certainly help you. Like I don't care what it is. Any meditation technique will help you because you right now when you meditate, you're disconnected from this physical life, this physical reality. You're just in your own world, right? When you meditate. That's number one where it helps you. Another way is it helps you to focus your intentions in your mind. So any meditation technique I have seen personally directly affects my ability to achieve the out of body experience. Yeah, yeah, you're welcome, man. Miles says, "Do you think crystals can help induce an out of body?" So I remember when I first it was leaving my body, I used to sleep with what is it called, Azula Peace or something like that, the blue ones. I used to sleep with that every night under my pillow, and I don't know if it helped or not, but I was certainly leaving every night. Yesterday I just said I meditated with this crystal. I do know crystals are able 100% to hold properties and energy for sure. So if you do it right and you set your intention, I'm going to go ahead and say 100% it will help assist. If you believe in it, if you set it there, if you put your intention in this crystal hard enough, it certainly can help you and assist. Now, is it going to definitively, if you can you just rely on the crystal and say, I did this, so I should have an out of body? No. But if everything's aligned, it will definitively help you. I would go ahead and say for sure. I actually just started, doing this as well. Energizing my crystal throughout the day, um, and stuff like that. I'll show you it to you guys. Actually, hold on one second. Let me show you it. It's pretty. It's a nice one. Yeah. So, I picked this up when I was in Egypt. It's a quartz crystal. I just seen it. I was drawn to it, and I picked this up when I was in Egypt, and it works very nice because I'm actually able to hold it in my hands in a good way that I like. So I meditate with this, every day, and um, or not every day, but I just started to again put my intention into it, my energy into it, and then see if it transfers over to my experiences at night. Yeah. Oh yeah, La Peace Lazuli. Yeah. Chris, what's up, man? Do the people know that we here? I was wondering if the people knew we were here, unaware of them as we are. If that makes sense to the people. No, it doesn't make sense to me, man. Sorry, please clarify. Do the people know that we're here? Uh, Dark Rise, the awareness we have here, do we have that awareness after death? Yeah. Yeah. Now, not everybody. I will say a lot of people in this space, they say, oh, it's all hunky dory. And it is not, that is not true because I have seen people not making their own decisions. It is a thing. But this is why it's very important that you understand that you are your ultimate authority. If you are listening to these words and that you can make your own authority, you 100% will be okay. You will know this when you pass away, 100%. But everybody else that's just sleeping here, that's just going to work, if they believe in religion or something like that, like if you think of a devout Christian or a devout who believes in forced reincarnation, like Hinduism, I believe. Like if you're a devout Hindu and you believe that you have to reincarnate, like you're gonna create that for yourself, 100%, 100%. But the ultimate truth is that we all have our choice and our opinions to our free will to experience that of which we desire. This is the ultimate truth. So if you understand that when you get out of here, you are in complete control, can't nothing make you do anything, can't nothing hurt, harm, or touch you. That is the ultimate truth. And how do I know this is the ultimate truth? Because guess what? When you believe that, that's what happens. That's how it is. Like, this is not, it's not something that we can debate. But to answer your question, um, yeah, everybody here listening to this, I would imagine, everybody here listening to this, I would imagine all of you will 100% be able to consciously make your own decisions. I believe that your consciousness is all on a certain level where, when you pass away, you will be able to consciously make the decision. But this is very important for us to do. And this is why I believe we need to continue this work and waking up other people. Talk to your family every day. Say, hey, you're your ultimate authority. You exist outside of here. You can do anything. Heaven's a real place. Like, say these types of things to them, and it will help. And it will help. All right. Chris, do the other people on the other side of the wall know we are here? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, the people on the other side of the ice wall, do they know we're here? Yeah. Some of them, yes, they know. It's known. So, like in school, they are taught the real map of this place. Now, why they don't necessarily come here and stuff like that, I don't know. A lot of them just don't even really care. It's kind of just like here, like, there's tons of human souls here. Like, okay, we exist outside of here, cool, but like, I'm going to this concert tonight. There's tons of people like that. Like, not everybody cares, but yeah, they do know. Now, I don't necessarily know the whole control structure of how it works out, like the individual dynamics of like why they aren't coming here, like who's in control of that. But I believe it's what I've seen in Antarctica with like the ET races. They're controlling things and like setting it up. Like that's why we're here in these 6 continents, consistently being reset. Like, if nobody's gonna say it, I'll say it. For sure. What does it mean if sometimes out of body one has loads of energy and can manifest and do loads, and sometimes not? Um, yeah, it manages to do with your energy. Sometimes when I'm out of my body, you may not really necessarily want to do anything. You may be physically drained or tired from this life. It's just like every day. It's just like everyday life, man. So, sometimes you may have the energy or the will to do something sparks your interest. You really want to find it out, and you do that. And then other times, you're kind of just tired from this physical life and, kind of just want to go with the flow. It happens like that. What's my understanding of Loosh? Yeah, so I've never personally seen that. That's like a Robert Monroe thing, I think. He talks about that. I've never necessarily seen anything about that. Uh, but I will say I do know energy certainly is harvested, and like reincarnation definitely was a thing, and that's why they make people believe in forced reincarnation. That's why the law of one even talks about, oh yeah, you have to be reincarnated until you reach a certain level and things like that. So I do know for sure, that was a thing to keep people here on a loop. Yeah, I do know that. Can I explain the fourth realm in as much detail as possible? No one ever fully explains it. Is it space with portals and planets? Yeah, so it's not necessarily the fourth realm. Darius says deem this as the second realm. He has done a very great job at mapping all of this out. But he deems this as the second realm. And, I'm going to go ahead and go along with that because the ETs are the closest thing as to humans. Yeah, so what it's like there. So I've been there a handful of times, and it's hard for us to explain it because the best way to do it is like with visuals, right? And like I'm not an artist, so it's hard. And like when I try to ask AI to do these things, it never really lines up with like what I'm trying to get it to say. That'd be the best way for me to show you. But essentially, it's so space is an illusion, guys. You guys have to get this out of your head. There is no space. Space is an illusion. Even Bashar says this. Bashar, he talks about space and the planets and all of that. But when he talks about how they get here, he even says space is an illusion. It's just a frequency. We just align our frequency and we come. They talk in those terms because these are the terms that you guys understand. You guys think in terms of planets and space. So when these ETs contact you, that's how they speak to you, not to lose you, right? But when it comes time to it and they say how they actually get here and traverse, they say, oh, it's just you just appear somewhere or you just go through a portal, a wormhole, they call it. But it's all it is. So space and time is an illusion. That's the first thing you guys have to get in your head. When he says it's an illusion, what he means is it's made up. You see, there is a firmament above us and everything is here separated by frequency. So, well, what it looks a lot like here, only they have manipulated their environment to the point where like it's very technologically advanced. Like it doesn't look as much greenery, like from what I've seen. Now, for me to classify the entire realm, I can't do that. You know, that'd be a question for Darius or somebody. But I have had a few experiences. It's not really greenery from what I've seen. Not like this. Like they have manipulated their environment to the point where it's not that, and it's just very technologically advanced. And their food is like these pills. Like they take it and like that's it. But yeah, how they're getting here, to answer your question about portals, everything is frequency. Literally, everything is frequency. This moment in time right now is just data. You can think of it as just data, and there's frequency in that data. So if you're able to know the frequency of that data and then change it or change your frequency to that, you are then able to be in this time. You are then able to, space and time are all frequency. There's all frequency in the equation that makes space exist inside of this creation, and that also makes time exist inside of this creation. There's frequency in this data that pinpoints space and time. Think of it a coordinate, like the XY map of like the map in math, right? The XY coordinates. Think of frequency as being the x-axis, and other things are something else, and that's the point, right? Space and time work this way. Now, when you're able to change your frequency or change the frequency of that thing and make it in your space, that's how it works. Like that's how they're doing it. Like they understand like the inner mechanics of this place. Like they can I like to say this in human terms is kind of hard. But when I was out of my body one time, when I was viewing a past life of mine as the Actorian, like I understood this vaguely. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's how we did it. Yeah, and the ships can do that too. The ships do have like they're unaffected by the outside world. So like when they're traveling, they can literally manipulate frequency and time and stuff. Like they're like conscious, kind of like the ships. Like it's we can't even understand it, guys. Like there's this guy, Bob Lazar, I think he's worked on some of the ships and he's trying to explain things, and he's like a very good engineer, but he can't even wrap his mind around all of it and explain how it works and stuff. And he's even trying to take a more mathematical approach than that. It's more organic than that. It's more like natural than that. But yeah, everything is frequency, energy, and vibration. You know, out of your brain, you can see this out of your body. You know, what do? You just align your frequency with something and you're there, or command it and you'll be there. So that's what I mean when space and time is an illusion. It's an illusion brought by the human vessel, by our limited perception here, because outside of your body, you're literally able to go anywhere and any time. So that right there proves that space and time is an illusion. I know it doesn't prove it to the scientists here on Earth that think, oh, well, you know, you got to prove it mathematically or whatever, all that garbage. But you leave your body, you step through a portal. That's all the proof you need that space and time is an illusion. And, you know, and then once you take that knowledge back here and try to think with the same mindset as out of body, we need to start thinking of the same mindset that we have in our soul, because we have the same abilities here. It's just our belief system. And of course, the limited DNA in our bodies and things like that. But literally, our belief system is the number one thing that can rewire this. So if we take the same mindset that we have when we're out of our body and our soul, that we can do anything, and start implementing that here, we will see this. This is how people were walking on water, turning water into wine, healing people. You have to take that same mindset and apply it here in the physical. And that's how you break the matrix. You see, like that. That was kind of like what I'm working on, honestly. But yeah. Do I believe having a Kundalini awakening would aid seeing the truth here? All right. So when I first got into spirituality and stuff years ago, before I was ever leaving my body, I was trying to figure out Kundalini, and I was so fixated on it. Like, ooh, Kundalini, like I want a Kundalini awakening. And then you have an out of body and you're like, Kundalini, like, what is that? Like, forget, like, get that out of here, Kundalini, like, but it will help things awaken you in your physical body for sure. When you're in the physical body, aligning your chakras, Kundalini awakening, all of those things certainly do help. I'm not going to downplay those things, because somebody downplayed those things to me, and then I started struggling in achieving the out of body state and things like that. So yeah, I will say 100% that those things do help. But after you have an out of body and you come back, you're like, you understand that you are a god, and all of those physical limitations placed upon the body have no impact, because now you know what your soul is like, and now you're able to do things more here. So the out of body state definitely unlocks another level where you can bypass all things that, all limitations that are placed on the physical body. But yeah, for sure, I would say that the Kundalini, those things do help for sure. Randy, can you speak on how you physically feel after an OBE? Do you feel differences in your chakras like pulsating? Yeah. So chakras, again, this is only a limitation of the physical body holds. So like when you have an OBE, you were just on the other side with no limit. The soul does not have chakras. Your soul does not have chakras. Only the physical body does. So when you were just on the other side and your full soul, everything's connected. It's like everything that you could imagine here, guys. Like if you imagine all of your chakras in alignment, Kundalini's running through you all the time. That's what being in your soul is like all the time. So when you come back here to your physical body, it's like, now I will say there's levels to it as well, because like when I was just leaving my body and I was just around my room, seeing things, when I came back, nothing changed. I was like still the same. I just knew like, okay, I had an out of body. It was cool. I was excited, but nothing really changed. But when I cross this threshold, when I go through a portal or I reach a higher frequency, when I step outside of Earth, when I step truly back into the eternal aspect of myself, guys, when you truly step out of the framework of Earth and you connect back fully back to the divine, to the other side, and you come back after that, you feel like enlightened. You feel ecstatic. Like I didn't need to eat for days. I just did not feel the sensation of hunger. My soul was then fueling my body. I couldn't sleep. After my first time, I couldn't sleep for days. And I was just like, damn, man. I was like, yo, I don't know how Darius does this. And he can leave his body week after week. I was like, I can't even sleep. I was like, yo, I don't know how he does this. This is crazy. I was like, damn, man. Because I know he's having crazy experiences, I was like, yeah, I don't know how he does this. And you do feel drained like after a while. Like that's when I started drinking salt water, because we are electromagnetic beings. We are electromagnetic beings. So, our whole body runs off of electricity. So when you come back to your body, your soul's fueling your body more at that point. So it's good to do things that help conduce electricity. And things like that. You feel electric. I felt connected. You feel connected to everything. Like you can see the future. You can see like I'd imagine that's like what a psychic feels. Like I could just, people would talk to me. I would just see past them and see, okay, the other side of things. And, I would just be able to see the future events playing out. I'd know things before they happen. My energy was so high. And when I tell you guys, I was so electric, I remember I was in school at the time. And Like I was in college for engineering school, and I was working on my laptop after an out of body, and my hand was maybe this close to my laptop. And oh, thank you, just me. I appreciate it. And my hand was maybe this close, and I felt the spark go from my laptop to my hand. I felt the spark go from my laptop to my hand, and it like shocked me. That's how electric I was. I was so electric. I remember sitting with my phone, and I remember telling my ex-wife and my stepdaughter, I was like, "Hey, I know I'm so electric, guys. I know I can charge this phone. Like I don't need to plug it in. Like I was like, that's I was like, I don't need to plug in this phone to charge it. I am so electric. I know I can charge this phone. I couldn't charge it, but I really believed I could. You thinking I was so open that it was hard for me to you really realize how limited humans are. I had to fix a washer. I remember my stepdaughter, she was trying to do laundry and the washer broke. And I'm an engineer, so like I fix stuff. So like I was like, all right, let me go down there and fix things. I couldn't we think so limited, like out of your body. I was just so used to being like, okay, let me just fix this with my mind, my willpower, stuff like that. I literally had to pick up wrenches and fix things. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. You have to think in steps and stuff again. So it's very hard. But yeah, it's kind of what it's like after an out of body. But originally after an out of body, like if you just leave, see your physical body on the bed, stay around realm one, you'll come back and you'll feel the same. It's not going to drain you out. It's not going to tire you out or anything. But when you leave and you really download a lot of information, that's when you'll start to feel the effects and things will start to come online in the physical body, for sure. For sure. All right. So just me asks, what determines where you will go to when you come out, like your field versus being in your bedroom? Yeah, this is a good question. And how do you get access to the other realms and even the outside of the construct? This is a good question. I didn't fully understand this either. I go into detail on this in the Navigating the Other Side presentation. About my website, I go into detail on it, but really, to try to help you guys, understand it. But to really understand, I hate saying this because it makes you think like you have to be a certain way, but everything truly is relative to the frequency of the observer. It's just how this works. But you are in control. So initially, when I leave, I'm typically just in my room, just in my room. It's you notice your soul leaving your body, you're in your room. 9 times out of 10, that's where you're going to be. It's just in your room. All right. Now, after that, you can use your spoken word and command to go somewhere. You can say, "Take me here," and you will be taken. Sometimes it doesn't work with a lot of people because they're not fully there and present. They're not in their ultimate authority. They don't even believe they can say, "Take me somewhere." All of those things play a factor. That's where I teach people to bring their consciousness fully there. But the ultimate truth is, once you're there fully outside of your body, you can just command to go anywhere, period. Now, another thing that I was working on was setting my intention and going through my mirror and things like that, going through my mirror. Going through your mirror, setting your intention. Sometimes a being will take you places, but yeah, just setting your intention alone. Another example of this is when I first went to Neo Soul, I set my intention to access my soul records while I was practicing. I said, I now set my intention to access my soul records, practice the out of body state. Once I left my body, I went through my mirror and I was in Neo Soul, accessing my soul records. You see, so that's at first, before you get out and know stuff, just set your intention to access something while you're practicing. I forgot about this. This is what I did in the beginning. So if you just set your intention while you're practicing, say, I now set my intention to leave my body and access this. You just say it, set your intention in your head, and then practice. And then when you leave, more often than not, when you leave, something will open up, and that's what you will access. Now, you can even strengthen this and verbally and physically write this down, because when you write things down, your soul bleeds through the paper and it cements it more into the universe. So you can even write your intention down throughout the day. 3-6-9 technique. Write it down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at night. I set my intention to leave my body and access this. And then when you leave your body, you can do that. But yeah, after time, once you're fully there and present, you can just command to go somewhere. You just walk with authority. Like, what would God do? I love this analogy, man, because like people ask me how I do stuff out of my body. I'm like, well, what would God do? If you could think of God in the Bible, like how would he move around? What would he do? Because that's literally all of us outside of our body. So like, do you think God would, literally, like, you think he would, or she, or whoever you used to believe God was, do you think he would command, or he would just do it? You just do it, and that becomes more apparent out of your body. Because I used to hear somebody say, I remember he was like healing something or somebody, or moving paper with his mind. He was like, somebody asked him, how do you do it? He said, you just do it. You just know you have no limitations and just do it. Now, I've tried that in the physical. It's kind of hard, but outside of your body in soul form, it's much more easier to tap into that type of energy, that type of like divine, almighty, powerful, all-knowing energy. It's a lot easier to tap into it. But for sure, at first when you're starting out, just set your intention, and that should be enough to carry you through to the experience for sure. What happens when women that have an abortion? Where are the unborn baby souls? So oftentimes when you have an abortion, like, it's already pre-set up or pre-planned. Sometimes there is no baby soul in there. The soul comes in. Sometimes some souls come in, pretty early. Other souls come in, a little bit later. Um, it's all dependent, it's nothing definitive. I did hear at one point that, souls come in once the pineal glands developed. But then I was like, well, that's actually not true, because people have memories of being in their mom's stomach from, you know, the whole time, so. But sometimes it's set up and it's already pre-planned. So like, if you have an abortion and the soul, you know, they already knew, they already agreed to do that with you, so you can learn whatever lesson that you needed to learn from that experience. So they already know, they're already on the other side. So like, they already, they kind of already know like what's going to happen and what's going on. But in the same aspect, there is free will, as well. So that plays into it. But it's hard to say definitively. It's hard for me to tell you like a definitive thing, like this is the ultimate truth on that subject. But I do know those little things on that sometimes it can be that. Sometimes it can be, sometimes it can be pre-planned. Sometimes, they know these things. Yeah. Guys, I think we'll keep this going for a while, but I do need to take a break. I've been drinking a lot of water. Do need to take like a 5-minute break. I'm gonna get some more water and run to the bathroom. I will come back. It's like 8:07 for me. I'll come back at like 8:12, and we can continue. So, I'm sorry, guys, but just stay with me, and we'll continue in a moment. Oh, hey, I was just typing to you, prop. Yeah, so we're back. We're back, guys. Sorry about that. I just had to, take a little moment. And before we get back started on the questions, I just would like to say, I know there's a lot of people trying to reach out to me and things like that. I am taking a break from like all things, just trying to really come into my energy because as an out of body explorer, like that's like what I do. That's how I leave is being in my own energy and being focused and stuff like that. And things like this does drain a lot of energy and stuff. So the best way to contact me is honestly, to join my website because I am there and present every week hosting events for you guys and things like that, or book a one-on-one or shoot me an email if you have a real serious question or you feel called to do so. I will answer that when I can. But yeah, so at this time, we'll resume the Q&A. I see Tom has one. Time, man. What's up, man? It's good to see you. What really happened on September 11th, 2001, and who was really behind it? Okay, so I haven't seen nothing of this relating to this particular outside of my body or nothing like that. But based on what I do know on how these things work, 100%, it was a planned thing. It was a setup. The government. The government is not here to protect you. The government, they really set it up. Now, there are reasons behind it. I don't know, but you can certainly go down these rabbit holes here on Earth. Like you don't necessarily even have to leave your body to find these things out. I found leaving my body that majority of the conspiracy theories are true. Now there is some deception in these theories as well, but use your own discernment. If it resonates with you, take it. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave it. But I know there's tons of people I've seen a lot of times on Instagram and stuff when I was on there heavy. People will they get to the bottom of these things. I've seen things. There was definitely an explosion. They definitely blew those buildings up. That's a definitive. Firsthand responders even said, "Yeah, I was in there, and then one of the explosions went off, and I came out." But in 2001, they were able to censor that because they were in control of the media a lot more. There was no internet, there was no social media, so they were able to control it a lot easier and just push certain narratives out. But yeah, to do something like that now, it'd be very hard, very hard. So many people would be online saying, "No, that's not true. This really happened." But yeah, back then it was very easy to control the narrative. Yeah, I will say that. Penny says, if my family believes in Christian heaven, is that where they will be after? Yeah, so when I say the belief structures carry on, they do, but it's all temporary. Eventually, we all are going to return back to the ultimate truth and see base reality on the other side. That is true. However, in the event that you believe in like reincarnation or something, there is a potential for that to happen before you reach back, but that's created by your belief structure. That's the most important belief that we need to break people out of, is forced reincarnation and just knowing that they are their ultimate authority. But yeah, many Christians when they first pass, and this can be documented in many near-death experiences. This is why every near-death experience is different, and they don't see the same thing, because immediately when you pass, it's your belief structure, right? This is why there's so many misconceptions about the other side. And this is why, people that leave their body, they see more of the truth because it's not a one-off experience. They're able to, really decode reality and really see what's going on. But this is why many near-death experiences differ. Now, um, immediately in Christianity, I feel like that's probably the safest one to believe, with the exception of hell, because I have seen a near-death experience where this lady, she did experience her own hell, where like she was being raped, she was given AIDS, she was walking down this long hallway, and this being was telling her, "You got to go in this door and experience that." She was just having a horrible time. She said it felt like eternity, and then she wound up in this field, this snowy field, and she was in this building with other women, and they were all raped and given AIDS. And then she said that she remembered a hymn. I think that's what they call them, like a gospel song. She remembered that, and then she sang it, and that's when she sang "Seeing the Light," and that's when she was taken out of that. So, with the exception of that, and I don't mean to laugh at that experience; it's very real. But you know, So oftentimes you will experience that. And heaven is a real place, guys. It is a real place that exists. It's still inside of this creation, but it is a real place, like how it's depicted, where you're in the natural place of yourself, or the perfected version of yourself. A lot of people say the average age template is 30 there, but it's not really that. It's you're the perfected version of yourself. And when you're outside of time, when you're outside of birth and death, you don't have kids and you don't have old people. You just have the natural template of the body. And the natural template of the body is this human vessel that I am in now. I look very similar to like how I do now, but just more perfected. I'm more in shape, for one. I had years of bad eating habits in place and stuff like that. So, I am getting back to it, but it's a real place and your thoughts do manifest instantly. That is where many people go when that is when many where many people go. Uh Prop, I see your comment. Good idea. That is where many people go. That is where many people go. But yeah, your belief systems do temporarily play an effect, and it depends on when you're able to break out of it, when you're able to ask, or when you've had enough. This goes for even if you have fear based around you. This is the ultimate truth. Our emotions create our reality, and this is what gets most people confused about the other side. They say, "Isn't it all perception based? Isn't it just based off your belief systems?" Yeah, it is for a little bit until you realize, oh, I'm creating this. I give up. I want to see base reality or something of that nature. And then all things will fall and you'll be open. And then it comes to a knowing, oh, yeah, this is base reality. I do have the power to control and manipulate things and things like that. So, yeah, temporarily you will experience things until you wake up, you know? Yeah. Super. Did it have an OPEs affect my marriage? Um, so I don't want to get into too many personal things, but I will say this: my marriage, it was, it was even before that. Personally, like I married for the wrong reasons. I was very sleep, and things like that. But it didn't ruin it. Um, we just were on two different levels, just two different levels of consciousness and things of that nature, and it played a purpose for sure. But it just got to a point where I needed to expand, and I was on a different path. Essentially, I will say that. Yeah. Have I seen evidence or seen anything about the firmament? Yeah, the firmament is 100% real. I mean, my first experience, not my first experience, but the first one where I left and I went to like Neo Soul. When I say left, like I left Earth, like I actually was just beyond the ice wall, which I found out. But upon coming back, I asked to see. I had a strong urge to see everything that I was talking about because I understood the realms. I understood all of the things. I wanted to see creation. Like I had a strong intention to do so. So after coming back, I said, no, I want to see myself coming back to my body because I was so in control at this time, guys. You have to understand, like, this is all I worked on for every day for a year and a half. This was all I worked on every night. This is what I was doing and focusing so hard. So after my first big experience, I was like, okay, I came back to my body. I went back to the experience, and after the experience, I felt it fading out. And I was like, no, I want to see myself going back to my body. Like I got to see creation. Like I'm out. I'm not taking this for waste. I'm gonna see something. And after this experience, this is when the realms flashed before my eyes. This is when I understood. Okay, everything that Darius says is true. Like I've seen the realm. I don't know how many there are. He says there's 12. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go with that because I did see them. They flashed behind my eyes. I had memories coming back, and Earth was presented to me as a little bubble inside of this creation. I don't know if this is necessarily how it looks, but this is how it was presented to me. I knew I was inside of this universe, inside of this creation, and Earth was presented to me as this one little bubble with a firmament above it. And it was a little place confined, and I was shown, okay, when I come back in here, I'm going to be cut off from all of this. And everybody in here believes that this is all their reality. All the space, all the galaxies, all the knowledge that humans have exists inside of this one little bubble.
I was shown that. And I don't know exactly. And then outside of the universe, I was shown there is a foundation to this creation that we are in, and there is a firmament around it. And all of the realms exist inside of this one creation. All of the realms exist inside of this one creation. And then inside of this creation is when I seen Earth was presented to me as a bubble inside of here. Now, that's where I don't know if this is exactly what it looks like or if this is just how it was presented to me. But it would make sense because I know to come in this realm specifically, you come in through it through water. I know that. So it's like you're inside of the main creation. It's like it's like the main creation is like a snow globe. And inside of this snow globe, there's realms separated by frequency. And Earth is one of these realms. Now, I don't know exactly how it works. If once you step inside this creation before you come to this realm, if there's a start point or something, I don't know how that's really set up, but that's what it was presented to me. So the firmament is 100% real. And when I first went to Neo Soul, I feel like I crossed through the firmament. I was in this portal. I went through my mirror, and it was instantly black. I was waiting there for a little bit. I thought, I'd just be taken. This is my first time going through a portal. I didn't know how they worked, right? So I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, okay, is it going to take me somewhere? Like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, maybe I have to move. So I touched around me. Everything was solid. It was like waters separated from the waters. I could hear water everywhere. I could hear immense energy everywhere. And it was like water separated from the water, right? Like they say. And it was just so much energy and stuff. And then as I crossed through this threshold on the other side, that's when I first felt the feeling of being in my full soul, of like being God. And everything about the life of Andre was then gone at this point. And I was through there. And it was just so amazing. And I was like, I made it out. I was like, I made it out. And I believe that's the firmament that I went through to get there. Yeah, the firmament is 100% real, 100%. Just me. I see she has another question. I see in my body these sparkles everywhere, and thank you guys for the donations. I really appreciate it for sure. It definitely helps me. I see in my body these sparkles everywhere and light flashes forming in a physical body. I see these sparkles everywhere and light flashes forming in a physical body. Eyes are closed. I can see clearly or places I'm not physically at, auras, etc. Yeah, I'd say that's you tapping into the other side. You can certainly do this in the physical. It's just a frequency. The other side is here. It's just on the other side of the light spectrum that we can't see. So how do we access this other side of the light spectrum? Everything is relative to the frequency of the observer. Now, this becomes more apparent when you're outside of your body because it's easier to raise your frequency. But in the human body, it's still possible. You can still see things. I remember before I ever even left my body or knew what it was, I was seeing flashes in the corner of my eyes, like little portals opening up. I was seeing beings. Even at night when I was living by myself, I'd start to see beings and stuff like in the room with me at night. And it would creep me out. Because when you see these things in the physical body, it takes a whole nother spin to it, man. Like outside of your body, you can kind of prepare and you can kind of come in contact with other beings and be okay. But when you start seeing things in the physical, whew, it's a whole nother level, man. I used to be so scared. I had to sit in my living room one day in the complete darkness. I was like, all right, I got to get over this. I sat in my living room one day in complete darkness, and I just said, whatever's here, come. I'm not afraid. And I didn't see anything this particular time, but I did feel a wave over me of overcoming that fear. And I will say, I know this gets a little bit off subject, but to answer your question, I believe you are 100% tapping into the other side. And the more you feed into that and play into that, the more these abilities will come online for you. Trust everything that you see. Trust every download. Don't believe science. Don't believe school. Don't believe the narratives here. Trust what you feel and what you see, because that is the truth. So yeah, for sure, you're tapping into it. But to go on to what I was going to say is, we're all afraid of the dark. Like, I don't care who you are. We are all afraid of the dark. Maybe not everybody. I'm not anymore. But I say we're all afraid of the dark because when you're trying to leave your body, you're only afraid because it's dark. when you're trying, right? Because if you were to try in the middle of the day and just take a nap, chances are that fear is not going to be there. You know, that fear is not going to be there. So I found that the primary reason why people have a lot of fear around this is because they're afraid of the dark. And it's for a good reason, because when you're in a human, you can't see in the dark. So if something's going to be there, you know, it's kind of scary. You know, it's kind of scary, you know, so that's true. So to combat that, I found sitting in the dark at night and just being at one, completely alone, just sitting in the dark. I was in a work group with this guy Ian, and he mentioned he locked himself in the closet, in a dark closet, and just sat there, and he overcame his fear that way. And I tried that, and that worked. And then I found myself I had to do it again when I moved out and I was by myself. Like, you know, there's levels to it too. Like I was able to practice next to my wife at dark during the nighttime and stuff and be completely fine. But then when I moved out, I realized I had to overcome this fear again because I started seeing beings at night, all types of stuff. So that's when I sat in the living room at dark, and I found that's the majority of reasons why people are afraid in the out of body state. And now I will say that when you leave your body, it's not going to be dark. Like you can see, even sometimes it is dark and you can't really see, but you also have the ability to raise your vibration, change the light, command clarity. Now things will definitely brighten up. Definitely brighten up. But yeah, I found that's a primary reason to scare people. So like if that's something that you're battling, is practicing at night, try during the day, try early morning on a weekend. I know a lot of you guys have work and stuff like that, but like if there's ever a day when you're not working, set time aside, you know, in the morning. So go to sleep around 10 or 11 or whatever time you go to sleep, wake up like 5 or 6 hours after that, uh, you know, and then try then. And a lot of times in the morning, that fear will be gone because like the nighttime's not there anymore. So try that. Kathy, thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. She says she sees sacred geometry all over everything at night. It's like neon white. This is with her eyes open. What do you think that is? Well, first, I'd like to say I think that is amazing. Amazing. Now, sacred geometry is something. Now, I never really see sacred geometry outside of my body, but before I got into this and before I was leaving my body, I thought, you know, sacred geometry was amazing. I thought that's like what it was like, right? Because I've done DMT when I was in college and like I seen it. Um, Even after I left my body, one time I tried to do the mushrooms and I was just laying there meditating, surfing my dimensional spaces. And every time I closed my eyes, I just seen a bunch of sacred geometry. So it does play a role. And I think what it does is it's how, because when you're in the human body, that's how we perceive things, because you're starting to see the fabric of creation. You're starting to see the other side of the light spectrum and things like that. And I believe sometimes it may come in as sacred geometry from the same concept as if when I'm leaving my body, sometimes when I'm waving my soul hand, it will appear visible because I'm just starting to see it. So I believe that's kind of the form it takes, because we're inside of a light prism. And before things materialize, it probably materializes in the form of sacred geometry, like the Fibonacci sequence, the spiral, and things like that, the flower of life. That's like the fabric of creation. That's how the light formalizes to make shapes and things like that. So I believe that's what we're tapping into and that's what we're seeing. But yeah, it's amazing. You know, just I would say just when that happens, meditate and look into it and try to see what you can make out. Now, when I did it, it was like I was seeing visions and stuff like that. Like sometimes Anubis's face would pop in and it'd be like really strong and faint. But then I realized, like, as I focused on it with my human mind, it would fade away. So like I kind of had to like just let it happen and not put too much focus on it. And then these visions would come in, you know, and then afterwards I think about the visions a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah. How are these human avatars created? Uh, yeah. So I don't like to say this because a lot of people identify with these human bodies still, because we have to understand that everybody watching this is not at the same consciousness level. So, you know, I don't want to say that because I don't know where everybody is here, and I don't want to. And if you're at a certain level, you know, things will be missed and misunderstood and misinterpreted. So that's why, you know, publicly, I think I said I will say realm one is made in the image of realm two. Realm two is made in the image of realm three. Realm three is made in the image of realm four. So if you can follow that, you know, I think that will answer your question. Corey says, "Do I work with people to help them achieve an OB?" Yeah, I certainly do. I'm teaching this in group settings on my website, and I also offer one-on-ones and things like that. Yeah, because these things you can't access these things by yourself. I've done it, but it does certainly help to have somebody that knows like what they're doing. Even after you have an experience, it helps to talk to somebody that knows what's going on, because like if you have an experience and you're trying to talk to somebody, they'll be like, what do you mean? Are you talking about it like a dream or something like that? So yeah, I have found like that's the most valuable way that I can be of service to people, is to help them achieve this state and to make sense of their experiences and help them navigate. So yeah, when people are searching for the way home, I certainly help them get there. Yeah. Are we here to master this plane, like relationships, addictions, our lower vibrational state, and leaving our body as a tool to help us with that? Yeah, so the best way I can explain this is this goes into your individual intention. you know what was your intention before you came here? Some people came here just to help with the Great Awakening. Some people came here to experience things like that. But I will say 100%, um, things will work on. From my personal experience, I had to overcome addiction in this lifetime. I've also seen, I was addicted to things in other lifetimes of mine. So I had to overcome that and really succeed in that. Relationships as well. That was a big thing. A reoccurring theme in many of my lifetimes was relationship issues. So yeah, me personally, for me personally, yeah, you do have to fix these things and heal from them. And, that may be a reason why many people want to come back, is to see how they can navigate in forgetfulness. Now, is that necessarily why everybody comes? No. But is that always your whole reason for coming? No. But I will say, the more you heal from things like that, the less desire your soul outside of here wants to come back. Now, I understand everybody here is probably like, well, I definitely don't want to come back to Earth, right? I'm sure we all feel like that. But when you're in your soul form and you're outside of the human template and everything is easy, coming to be a human doesn't seem so bad, and it seems very quick. So the more you heal all of those things, traumas, issues in your life, personal relationships, addictions, the less likely it is that your soul, when you step back to the eternal aspect of yourself, will even need to come back, because it's healed. You've moved on from that chapter. It's all on an individual uh, aspect. And yeah, an OBE state will help with that. And I'll give you a clear example, because in the OBE state, I was able to see my past lifetimes, and I was able to see reoccurring themes of mine that I was playing out. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why I was experiencing this in this life. Well, let me fix that, and things like that. So, um, things definitely. Oh, I like that prop. That was a nice little thing, man. You're getting good at this. But yeah, the OBE state definitely helps unlock it. And another aspect of this is because the OBE state, totally, you're in your complete subconscious. So like, imagine dreams, right? You know how when you're in dreams and you experience certain things, reoccurring themes in dreams. Well, in an out of body experience, it's going to be even more real and more apparent than that, because you're going to be fully there and present, just like we are here in this waking life, you see. And your subconscious thoughts are going to play out. You're going to see things. It's like the cobwebs that you've hidden for days. They're going to come out and you're going to experience them. Now, an example of this is I don't remember if it was Robert Monroe or William Bowman. They had a fear of flying. So he was constantly trying to land a small plane in his out of body experience. He was constantly trying to land a small plane on top of a building, because he had a fear with that for whatever reason. Um, for me, I found out that I had a fear of, subconsciously, like, even watching movie. Like, I wasn't a big horror movie guy, but I did watch like the Halloween movies growing up. I did watch like Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger and stuff like that growing up. And out of my body, those are the people that I see, was things like that. And I'm like, oh man. So that taught me that, those things do play effect on people, and they do hold. And I wasn't even really into it. So like, I just watch it. Like, I wasn't really afraid of it or anything growing up. But even those little things weigh heavy on your soul, and you play those out when you're out of your body, for sure. Um, Other people may have dreams of like being stuck, you can have that feeling in an out of body experience as well, of like being stuck. So it's just it becomes more apparent to you like what you're battling, and then yeah, you can certainly come in and fix it in the human vessel. And for sure, fixing these things while you're incarnated here is the best way, because this is really like the only way to fix things. Because when you're outside of your body, like everything is good, everything's kosher. So like fixing things in lessons, like it's not really the same as it is here, because here you actually feel the effects and the emotions and things like that. So like it really heals you at a soul level here, easier and more direct than on the other side. Yeah. Mm. How does the concept of the black sun or the central polar opening influence the energetic flow of the astral planes we navigate? And is it an accessible destination for a projected consciousness? Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. This is kind of what I was getting into during my mechanics presentation. What I have found out is that the black sun is correlates to the entire energy of this place, the entire energy structure. This is what traps the sun and the moon in its rotation. The energy of the moon, when it's a full moon, there's more energy being generated from the core. That's why at full moon they say the energy rises. Everything like that. And the one and the what did you say? In the central polar opening, that's a good thing. So you're on to it. That's a real thing. It's a real place, and you can't access it. And outside of your body, the core is actually like even a portal to these higher planes and dimensions. They're actual. It's an actual portal. It's like if you think of like the core is like if you think of this as like a holographic light matrix, the core is what like gives it its life, right? So when you go to the core, you're able to um, access these other things. It acts as a portal, and it's made out of plasma. And plasma is crazy because plasma is the fourth state of matter, and it's just like where you're able to stabilize energy and raise your frequency and things. It's yeah, it's everything. Do I acknowledge numerology at all? If so, what does each number represent to me? Yeah, everything in this construct is based off of numbers. Uh, they really do a lot. This guy, Jace, he used to go by Raised by Wolves. He's actually pretty good at that. Numbers and gematria and stuff, and cracking the code. But yeah, numbers do. Now, do I necessarily believe things that they say the numbers represent? No, I honestly think it's a lot deeper than anything that we have here, like the core truth of it. But some of them are here. Like 3 does have to do with the creation, 9 is the completion, 6 is that middle balance, the ground, the harmonic, the emotional. Those things line up, and I know that because we see 3 in the Fibonacci sequence, because 3 has to do with creation. 9 is the completion on our numerical system. It just is. It's the highest number you can ever get to when you work on something called what is it called? I haven't thought in these terms in a long time. The natural root, where like if 15, the natural root of 15 is 6. 9 is the highest number we can do. 9 is the completion. I do know things of that. And I also know numbers are definitively assigned from the other side. When you see 111, 222, 333, they are definitively signed from the other side. Now, at one point, I was so in tune, I even understood that I was giving these signs to myself. I mean, this is pretty out there, but like at one point in time, I was having so many out of body experiences. I was seeing so many synchronicities and signs lining up, deja vu every day. I was like, yo, I'm really on my path. And then one time I seen 333 when I was thinking that, and I was like, wait, am I saying, I was just thinking, I was like, wait, am I doing this to myself? And I seen 333. I was like, oh, I am. I knew it. I knew it. I was like, I knew I was giving these signs to myself to help me know I was on my path. It was crazy. But yeah, those things do work, and they do. And they are all things that help you know that you're on your path. And deja vu is another big sign of it. Um, it's another big sign of deja vu, is another part to tell you that you're on your path, because every time I go within and I really go within and I take another direction, I start to see deja vu. Like I have deja vu quite often. This has happened to me in the last couple weeks as I like really started to, dive back into myself, my own space, my own energy, just looking for the signs and getting stepping out of my human brain and really moving into tapping into the other side and being the messenger that I'm supposed to be. You start seeing more deja vu and things like that. So yeah, numbers, they all play a role. This whole construct is based off of numbers as well. Numbers play a definitive role. Doesn't matter what position you are in when you are trying to achieve an OBE. It depends what technique you're doing, but ultimately, no. I mean, if you're laying there still trying to reach sleep paralysis, your back is obviously the best way. But I've seen the most success from my out of bodies just by, practicing trying to achieve sleep paralysis for an hour or two, laying on my back, setting my intention to the universe, and then just rolling over on my side. And then that's when I found waking up in the five states is very apparent. You can wake up in either a lucid dream, become aware, be conscious floating above your body, be conscious in the vibrational phase, be conscious in sleep paralysis. You just kind of go to sleep and wake up in those states. And then that's also when I found out that, okay, so what's causing this? Well, it's really my intention. So then I took it a step further and was like, okay, well, let me create some affirmations to say, to help do this. But yeah, it just depends, man. The most thing that's going to carry you to the out of body state is your will of your soul. Like, how bad do you want it and how focused are you? All those techniques, and it's just tools and stuff. Like, ultimately, there was a point in time when I could just lay down, think about the other side, and just go to sleep and wake up and be out of my body, So the number one thing that stops people is their mindset and their belief system. Like, your human brain is like what limits you, because the other side is always there, you know. Oh, thank you, Jasmine. What determines where you will go to when you come out, like your field versus being in your bedroom, and how do you get oh, we talked on this already. When one leaves their body, they experience what is considered supernatural ability. Yeah, and it's not really supernatural. I'd say it's more natural abilities, because these bodies are the things that aren't natural. You see, these bodies are the things that have limitation. And it's not really like you step out and you have supernatural abilities. It's just you're not confined to the limitations of these human bodies. These human bodies are what need to eat, sleep, drink. Human bodies are what feel pain. The human bodies are what does all of these things. Your soul does not have no limitations. You are quite literally God. The way God is depicted in the Bible is this all knowing being, this all knowing thing, this divine being that has the ability to love everybody, that can answer everybody's prayers, that can create universes. That is you. That is each and every one of us outside of here. We need to stop identifying with these physical bodies in this human form. Who you are does not change, like your thought process and things like that. But these human bodies, who you are does get grander, because you are now not confined by these human bodies. Like, I think that's a better way to look at it. You're just you back in your natural form outside of these human bodies. But from human terms, yeah, it would be considered like supernatural abilities. Even when you come back from an out of body, you'll have like perceived abilities, like you can see the future, you can tap in, you can control energy. I could heal people or sense where their pain was coming from. I could transmute my energy, things of that nature, basically everything. And if that's your focus, is to unlock things in the physical, you can certainly do that. Leave your body, get some information on how to do something, and come back and focus it. But it does take immense effort to do so, and energy, because it's like we've been sleeping for so long. So imagine like not working out ever in your life for 30 years, and then you start working out. It's going to take you some time to really build muscle. You see, you got to work it out every day. That's kind of what it is. When I first left America, like that's what I was gonna do, is because I was my energy was focused on leaving my body and getting information. Like that took a lot of my energy and effort. But when I first left America, I was going to transition to okay, and during the day, I'm going to try to unlock things in the physical so I can prove to people like these things are real because seeing is believing for a lot of people, you know. Um, but yeah, that never happened. So now I'm just focused. But yeah, you certainly can unlock supernatural abilities in the physical. Yeah. Other than our reality in the halls of a mentee, where do you recommend we visit when we leave our bodies? Yeah, so this is a good point. So I will say about the halls of a mentee. Halls of a mentee is a good place to go so you can check your frequency. Like, are you really moving in integrity? Because if you aren't, it won't open up to you. You can go to the halls of a mentee and it will be dark because you're just accessing it as if it's in realm one. You're accessing it the same as if you were to dig it up and to go under the desert, under the pyramids, and just be in there. That's like what you're accessing. If you go there and it's dark, that's why, because your frequency is not aligned with the realm three frequency of integrity and things of that nature. Um, but if you go there and your frequency is aligned, you will it will open up to you and it will appear different. It will feel bright and like magical, like in the realm 3 days. I found that out as well. Um, Now I will say that's why that's a good place to check your integrity and things like that. And it's also to help get me in the mind state. I often will read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth too, to like understand the seriousness of this and things to match that frequency and that vibration. You know, if that's what I'm trying to access, oftentimes I would do that. But that's why that's a good place for you to go. And they have a lot of things in there about the creation and things like that. But yeah, a lot of people get there. You can get there, but it's going to be closed off to you because your frequency is out of alignment. Um, but Another good place is accessing your soul records. That's how I would set the intention to access your soul records. It pieces more of the puzzle together for you, and your soul records can take you anywhere. It can take you to beyond the ice wall. It can take you to realm two. It can take you to realm three. You know, and you'll just be able to see things. And then when you come back from that experience, you piece things together from like what I've said, from what Darius has said, from anything that you can find here on earth talking about it. And then you piece things together and then it opens up a whole bigger puzzle for you. I would recommend each and every one of you guys to access your soul records because that's a big part of it, you know, is finding out who you were. And it can take you to so many other places. And it's also such an amazing feeling wondering, figuring out who you are, like outside of this life. That's a good thing. Can we agree that after the first or OBE, you'll come back changed? I did. He says he did, but he's also received downloads. Now, yeah, you'll come back and be changed by the aspect that now you know death is an illusion. It depends what happens in the experience, you know, because I mean, for me personally, when I was first just leaving, nothing really changed because I already knew we were outside of, like, we existed outside of here. Like I just knew, you know, so nothing really changed for me in the physical until it wasn't until I first left and went to Neo Soul. That was after that. That's when things opened up for me, and that's when things changed, and I received downloads and insights, and I stepped into my soul. But the whole time I was, you know, just navigating around my body and stuff like that, nothing really changed because it's kind of like you're still hearing the frequency of realm one. It's kind of like remote viewing or like astral projection or something like that. But you know, the out of body, it's different because you're fully there and conscious and aware. But I'm just talking about like in terms of like what you're accessing is kind of the same. But once you step outside of realm one of this realm, for sure, or access a past lifetime of yours, or for sure the first time you really access something, you'll come back changed for sure. Kathy says, would you have any idea why I see? Oh, we answered this already. When you say download, is it possible to download, accumulate knowledge that can be used on this side? Yeah, yeah, for sure. This is like what Einstein and Tesla was doing. And when I first was leaving my body, that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to access information and create something here, because I was an engineer. So like that's kind of what my focus was. And then as I got more in this space, I stopped chasing anything, any human desires and things like that. But yeah, you certainly can. You can go back and learn secrets of kung fu. You can learn. You can go back and access. Like whatever you want. For sure, and bring that back. Yeah. We touched on that. Mm. I see. Yeah, Vikas, will I ever go live on TikTok? Why does a lot of people talk about the soul trap? Yeah, because it comes from people not knowing the whole truth. Comes from near death experiences, getting the feeling of, oh, you got to come back. It comes from somebody. It comes from somebody that is in fear, or somebody that does not know the whole truth. That's the bottom line. Now it also comes back to the control structure here, because all right, so like this was a big one. So like when the law of one came out, right? Like they see people are starting to wake up, they're starting to remember. All right, how can we still control them? Oh, let's tell them you have to still reincarnate to achieve this. That's how we can keep them in the loop. People are waking up that they exist outside of here and stuff, but let's tell them that they still have to reincarnate. Like let's put that in there. Stuff like that happened too. So yeah, that's. But the ultimate truth is, you are in complete control, my friend. You are in complete control. Will I ever go live on TikTok? I don't really have a lot of followers on TikTok. I got like 300 or 400, so it's not really. I'd probably go live on Instagram before TikTok, because I got like 8,000 on Instagram. So, but yeah, if I ever had a lot of followers, I could. I remember myself as a conscious purple color energy. Have you had any memories of yourself in early creation? Um, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, so what I have seen is in the planes of existence outside of these creations, there are light beings and stuff like that where like you're just energy. Like there is spaces like that. That's like I've been talking with Genie Dot on this, and we've been going back and forth because I've seen energies and things like that. I believe classified that as plane 7 or plane 8 of outside of here, the plane of existence, where you'll see like energy bodies, and it's like a collective of like energies and things like that. Yeah. Uh, yeah. But yeah, for sure. But anything inside of this construct, this creation, is definitely physical. So like if you're experiencing something like that, you're outside of this creation. Yeah. Interesting. Tell me more about not moving in integrity. Exactly does it mean to move in integrity? Does it mean being the true essence of whom you really are? Yeah. And this is a good topic because a lot of people love to throw the word of integrity around, and it's just an integrity to them, and the way that they use it means idolizing somebody, or staying true to what that person's talking about. But integrity means just because you can do something doesn't mean you do it. Integrity means that just because and it's a feeling, it's a state of being. Just because you can see the future, or you can see somebody's thoughts or what somebody's doing, are you necessarily going to spy on them? No, because you're in the human vessel. You're not going to do that. Integrity means just because you have information, are you going to use it to come back and exploit it and to make monetary gain off of it? You see, like if I was going to the halls of a mentee with a deep down intent, I could say I'm not, but if truly deep down I was going there with the intention to gain information to come back to make monetary gain off of it, it's not going to happen. That's what I mean by integrity. Like what's your real reason behind doing something? What is your true, because everything is known on the other side. Everything is known. Your true intention, your deepest thoughts and secrets are known. You cannot hide from this. Everything is known and revealed on the other side. What is your true intention behind doing something? You may tell me it's something, but deep down, is it truly? And only you know this. Only you know this. So that is what I mean when I say integrity. What is your true reason behind doing something? You must know this. And it must be and it must be clear and pure. If you're doing something for personal gain, that is not an integrity, you know. And it's hard to understand this, but just know everything is known and everything is revealed on the other side. So your true intentions are known in every aspect, everything that you do. And that's why this space is so hard to navigate, because like to spread this message, like I have to be in the public eye. I have to, do certain things. But you have to make sure that your integrity is in check and you're doing them for the right reasons. That's what I mean by integrity. Yeah. Katina says, "What was the opening video about?" So Prop made that. He does a good job on the intros, but it was about an out of body experience. There was more house in that one than the actual out of body experience, but I kind of like the other ones better. But yeah, it was just to set the tone for the place, saying for out of body experiences and things like that. Yeah, it was a good intro. Thank you, Prop. Is it possible to have a past life in a different universe, totally out of this construct? Yeah, in theory, yeah. I mean, all of us have. This creation wasn't even always here. I know time is not really a thing, but there is a sequence of events on the other side. This creation is relatively new. So, yeah, you for sure all have. Now, are you going to remember them? No, because we're so confined here. You have to understand that this creation alone, once you're inside of this creation, it is like a bubble. And then there's layers, and each layer gets restricted and restricted and restricted and restricted. We are in the most restricted layer as being a human. So a lot of people remember past lives of just being humans. Some people are starting to remember past lives of being ETs. You see, some people are remembering past lives of like the ancient Egyptian realm and things like that. So we're just starting to remember that. So remembering anything outside of here, yeah, it's not really a past life at that point, because this the only time lives are a thing. The only time like a life is a thing is in these lower realms. This is the only place you can be born or die to get out of. Past life isn't a thing after that. It's just an experience. It's just, okay, I'm here. Now I'm here. It's just like going to different houses, or it's just like today you were rollerblading, tomorrow you go to the movie. It's just like a continuation. This is the only place where we get the sensation of a life or a past life or something of that nature. Yeah. But if your question is, have we had other experiences in other universes? 100%. I can almost guarantee that every single person here has. Yeah. How do you get over the fear of seeing dark beings and stuff when trying to have an OBE? You just kind of do it anyways, and you have to know that you are your ultimate authority, and nothing can hurt, harm, or touch you unless you believe it to be so. A good way that I was able to overcome it is I listened to a lot of Darius. I listened to a lot of his interviews and stuff when I was right before I left, and I just believed what he was saying. And, that was primarily how I was able to leave and overcome it. Yeah. Speak on the pets I saw in Neo Soul, and what about astral food you ate in Nigerian past life? So the pets, I did have pets. I did have like a dog. So I did have like dogs in Neo Soul. Like, yeah, when I first went through my house, so in this experience, I'm walking, I see myself in this other body. Francis was behind me. I say, "What's up?" I greet him. I was like, "All right, Francis, like, what do I do?" And he starts to take me to my house. And I was like, "Oh, this is my house." And he was like, "Well, it's not really your house at this moment." He was like, "It's really your wife's house," because I guess we were having issues. I was like, "Oh, all right." And he didn't really like her. He wasn't too fond of her, but I could tell by the way he said it. But anyways, so as I go into my house, I go in through this garage, and Francis is walking so fast. He's walking so he's like one of these Puerto Rican guys, the Swifts inner city type people that just walk real fast, talk real fast and stuff. Like that's him, So he's walking real fast. So I'm trying to keep up with him because like this is my first time, I'm even outside of Earth and stuff. So I'm just trying to keep up with him. Like, all right, let's go, walking super fast. And I just remember him it was like a garage door in my house, and I just remember him swooping right into there real quick. I'm like, all right, I guess I will too. Right in there, and then there was like all these dog cages and stuff in there. I was like, damn, I got a lot of dogs, a lot of dogs. And then on the other side of the house, it was a rehab facility and stuff. So yeah, animals do exist there as well. I know that. And animals are just souls just like you and I. They just come in here for a particular experience. They're souls just like you and I. They exist outside of here too. You can talk to them and meet them outside of your body, things like that. A lot of people are curious about pets and they love their pets and stuff. Answer the question, yeah, they're souls just like us. You can access them. Did I eat any food there? Not particularly in Soul, and it wasn't like a Nigerian past life. It was like I was in the template of a night. Like I looked like how Nigerians look here. Like that's like how I looked there, but it was still also the same. Like my eyes were the same, my cheekbone, like I could visibly see that it was me, but like it was like a Nigerian type template. Like that's the best way I could describe that. We touched on this. Am I good with remote viewing? What are you trying to achieve using OVE? So I've tried remote viewing. This was more so before I was leaving my body. Like when I was using the gateway tapes and stuff, I was able to like have somebody write something down and see like what it is. I was able to do that. And then once I started leaving my body, I just, I stopped that because it was like, all right, it's cool, but like there's so much more out there than just like what's here. What am I trying to achieve with an out of body experience? Well, this is it's returning back to the eternal aspect of yourself. What I am trying to achieve and access personally is not too much anymore. Now, I do have some things that I'd like to go see, but really, I just want to help everybody else wake up to the fact that, hey, we exist outside of here. You can get out of this game. This is a game. This is not real life. Your job is not the most important thing. There's more to this reality, and this is the door. You can, hey, you guys can, you guys can leave this reality and see things and return back to the eternal aspect of yourself. There's a lot of pain and suffering here. There is no more on the other side, and the out-of-body state is the number one doorway for people to truly know this and experience this, because in the spiritual community, in this great awakening path, so far, we have only had channelers. We have only had people that meditate, people that only claim to remember their past lives. Well, now we have people that actually are on the other side. It's a completely real place. It exists, and all of us can access this. This is the most clear and direct way to fully wake up in here. I don't care if you're channeling somebody. I don't care if you're a psych. I don't care what you do here in the physical. It does not equate to leaving your body and actually being on the other side. It's the number one way that you can truly remember who you are and that you exist outside of here. And that's going to be what fast tracks, the great awakening, great remembrance, is more and more people leaving their body and saying this truth. So that's more so, it's not about nothing personal for me anymore. Like that's not what I'm here for. It's not why I came. It's about coming back and helping you guys remember now. That's what it's about for me. I'm wondering if you can speak at all into how things like DMT and ayahuasca present us to the other side. Yeah, certainly. So DMT certainly opens the door. Ayahuasca certainly opens the door, but it's like you're drunk and you don't really know where you are, where you're going. It certainly can help you achieve these states and access these things, but it is not an out-of-body experience. I want to make this very clear, because somebody came and said that they had an out-of-body experience on DMT. No, that is not what I'm talking about. You are very much still in your physical body. You may have visions. You may be taken out somewhere consciously, but that is also like an astral projection experience, but even more hazy than an astral projection experience, because you're literally induced with a drug. You're not thinking clearly. You may think it's some awakening experience because you're outside of, you're thinking different than a human perspective, but it is not like an out-of-body experience being in your soul. Because when you're in an out-of-body experience in your soul, it's like you're a human. It's not those crazy thoughts that you get on ayahuasca or DMT. It's none of that, but it does help you access these states, sure. it is a tool that you can use if you're not having out of body experience. You can recalibrate, connect with source that way, sure, if you want to. But that is not at all what I'm speaking about an out of body experience. But it does help you achieve and access higher states of consciousness here for sure. But it is not. It's like you're drunk. It's literally like you're drunk. Like you can be on the other side sober, or you can be on the other side drunk. What would you like to do? You know. What's going on with the not so nice ETs? Are they messing with us humans? Yeah, 100%. Just like humans, there's good humans, bad humans. The same way humans can get into a control structure based off monetary gain and greed, ETs can too. They're still in forgetfulness as well. Yeah. Why does the brain secrete DMT when we die then? Yeah, it's probably just to help with the transition. I mean, but you're outside of when you die, you're not in your physical body. You are in your soul form. So, I mean, it probably helps ease the transition and stuff like that for sure. But you'll be in 100% in your soul and stuff, you know, for sure. I will say that DMT was the closest thing that I've experienced to the other side. Like when I did it in college, before I knew about any of this, like I was in the void and I was like, yo, this is real. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I was like, I felt like I was inside of my conscious, like I felt like I was home, So it is real. But if you want to access the other side in the way that I speak about it, you do not need DMT or drugs. I would advise it's like being on the other side drunk. DMT, you can see visions, you can come in contact with beings. Sure, you can feel like you're out of your body, but you are not. It's still a chemically induced experience. So it's still an outside substance outside of yourself that's creating this experience. So yeah. What's the longest amount of time I've been on the other side? Around one time, I don't know, it's always like a couple minutes or something like that, but I can tell you what it feels like. If it felt like months, it felt like I was there so long. I was like, man, am I gonna have to go to work? I was like, oh, shit. Like I was there for a long time, man, outside my body. But then you come back and it's only like a couple minutes have passed. But yeah, you can be gone for whatever. You can feel like you lived a whole life on the other side. You can feel like you've lived a whole lifetime and then came back because you're outside of time. But yeah, and I will say that the more I'm there, like the longer I'm there, like when I was there for like what felt like months, I remembered I remembered every detail for like the first what felt like a week I was there. Like I remembered every detail, and then the longer I was there, it was harder for me to bring back all of that information here. Like it was just it was just too much. But yeah, you can stay gone for a long time. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you. Um, do you limit your access to television or maybe music so as not to distract you when meditating? Yeah, 100%. And this was easier when I was by myself, you know, for sure. I don't listen to a lot of music. I don't even think in those terms. Like people are still fascinated with, celebrities and music and stuff. None of that stuff means anything to me. Um, but I don't really listen to a lot of music. Sometimes I do, like when I go for a walk. Like the other night, I was trying to leave my body. I had no success, so I went for a late night walk, and then I did listen to some music. I listened to that girl Nico, like Jericho and stuff like that. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, I don't really listen to too much music. And watching TV, I don't like to watch a lot of TV at all. Being in a with a partner and stuff, it is nice to sometimes sit and watch a show or something like that. But I do limit it. Like, might watch an episode, one like 30 minutes or 60 minutes of TV, maybe a day or every other day or something like that. But yeah, I try to limit myself. And it also depends like what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm very present here and not trying to leave my body. But like on other times when I am trying to be focused and in this mind state, I won't do any of that. Like any of that. Like right now, I'm not really on my phone at all. I'm not really trying to watch anything, listen to anything. I'm just trying to meditate, step into myself, and access the other side, and things like that. So in the OBE state definitely helps you to detach from here when you're thinking about human things, and it's not going to help you. And none of that will help you over there. So yeah, I try to limit myself. And everything is frequency, energy, and vibration. When I first got into this, I blocked out everything. I was not listening to any music, no TV for months. The only thing I was doing was binaural beats and meditating. And that transferred directly into being able to achieve the out of body experience very quickly. So the more you are able to detach from here, 100% that transpires over to achieving the out of body state. Sensory deprivation. The more you're not looking at screens, the more you're free your mind, the more you're in your own energy, the more you detach from this physical world, it's going to be a lot easier for you to leave. Because the other side, a lot of people still associate with this physical life, like, oh, I want to leave to achieve this, and associate it with this physical life. It's not that. You're returning to the eternal aspect of yourself. You've had many lives, you see. So it's like, yeah, you really gotta let go. It certainly does help. And that's kind of what I'm doing now, because for a while leaving my body was so easy for me. I was like, all right, I can watch TV, I can listen to music again, I guess, things like that, especially as I got in a new relationship. But yeah, you definitely need to detach and stuff. It definitely helps. If the moon is a plasma reflection of the Earth's topography, does it show us the extra land beyond? Yeah, static imprint. So yeah, that's a good question. So I don't know if it's a static imprint. I would like to say that it is a live imprint based on what I've seen, because it's a direct reflection of it. Yeah, I'd like to say it's an exact replica. Um, yeah, I'd like to say that. Will the public be made of ETs this year? There are a lot of people claiming this year or next year. Yeah, I believe next year. Next year will be the year. What is the best thing I love about being on the other side? The expansiveness of my mind, knowing like that I don't exist as a human, like, and the overall feeling of being free and complete bliss with no limitations, like everything, man. It's everything. Learning things, connections, having no limitations, and just being free. Like that feeling is just unmatched. And we were truly able to appreciate it after being a human. Like before I was ever a human, it was just like, okay, this is just my natural state. Like, okay, I had nothing to really compare it to. But now, from coming from being a human to returning back to that, oh my God, you have a completely different appreciation for who you are, man. It's like the movie Bliss with Owen Wilson and Selma Hayek. Have you ever seen the movie Bliss? It's just like that. Like how when they how when they they go into this other world. They made it about drugs and stuff, but it's really like what it's like when you come in here in an incarnation. And then when they left the simulation, they were like, oh my God, I love this life so much more and stuff like that. And before they left, they documented what he said. So imagine like being on the other side before you were ever a human, and you talk about what it's like being a soul. You might say, oh, it's okay. You might have some negative outlooks or something like that. And then you dip down and you experience what it's like to not be in complete power and in your divinity. And then you come back and you compare your response to what it's like being in the divinity again, you're going to have a completely different outlook. You're going to be like, yo, I appreciate this so much. I don't have to die. I don't have to get sick. I remember stuff. I can fly again. It's going to be, yeah, it's a big transition, man. It's a big transition. All right, guys, um, we'll get one more question here. I see Cameron. We'll get one more question here, and then I'm gonna get out of here. As it's time for me to. The sun's out. I'm gonna get some sun and stuff like that. Um, is the moon on the other side of the waters above? No, it's in here. It's inside of this creation. Cameron asked, during your mechanics study of the realms, are the moon and stars split our plasma material? The moon and the sun is definitively plasma. The stars, that's a little different because the stars are like actually in the firmament. So like I believe it's light shining through from outside of this creation. I believe that's what the stars are. Is the light from outside of this creation shining in, causing the stars to appear in the firmament. And it comes at certain patterns and stuff like that above us. I believe that. So I don't necessarily know like what they are made out of yet, but I do know like the sun and moon are definitively plasma and things like that. Yeah. Yeah. But all right, guys. So that's all I have for you guys today. What do I got coming up? Week 2 for the OBE boot camp thing I'm doing starts tomorrow. I think week 1 was a pretty good success. I've seen some people having success, so congratulations, guys. I'm happy you guys are taking this serious and seeing success. And tomorrow we come back for week 2. If you guys are not a part of it, you guys can still join us. The options available for members. You guys can register. That's tomorrow at 7. Um, Other than that, that's really all I got planned. There will continue to be weekly events on my website. Uh, Other than that, I'm just really withdrawing and trying to come into my energy, leave my body, and come back and tell you guys the truth. So yeah, that's all I really have. I thank each and every one of you guys for being here with me today. I hope you guys felt it as I did. And let's continue waking up and remembering together. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I love each and every one of you.